Hey everyone, today I am here to talk about how to leave physical anxiety there. We're not going to go into too much of the belief perspective. This is more so where Paul David's book, which is the 5th book on the reading list, the back of it is How I Recovered from 10 Years of Anxiety and Panic. Read My Story of Recovery, written by an ex-sufferer, Paul David. This is probably, of all the years I've been coaching people, this is probably the most enjoyable book on the reading list. I don't think it's the most important for OCD and anxiety recovery at the level that we suffer with when it's strictly obsessive compulsive disorder, but this book is very good. And I have the co-star Daisy over here, which I'll show her in a little bit. It's actually hilarious. We just got this couch for here, and the reason why the blanket, you can't really see it, but there's a blanket that I have underneath because we were in here the other day and Erica's like, what's wrong with the couch? And she scratched up the couch already. Motherfucker. She's like, what? No way. So this book was critical for me because physical symptoms were something I really struggle with, especially coming in as a sensory motor sufferer, which of course the belief is the most important part, the belief of being stuck forever and how terrible that is. But I did have to break down and actually wear physical symptoms everywhere. And I'm going to go into great detail of those physical symptoms. So again, this will be a lot about this book. And before we go any further, please subscribe, hit that like button down below. Let me know what you think about this video. Physical symptoms, of course, is something, like I said, that really hindered my recovery. Not in the sense that it made it any more difficult than anyone else. I just complained about my physical symptoms all the time. I mean, I lived with this pit in my throat. I had so many IBS symptoms. I was more lower. A lot of people, not everyone is both up and down. I was a lot of lower. I had constant 24/7 gas. I felt like I had every allergy. I mean, I literally passed gas every 5 seconds for like a year. I was so convinced I had every allergy known to man. I had diarrhea all the time, constant loose stools, brain fog, 24/7 for years. Couldn't remember shit. And then remember, I've had multiple seizures in my life. So I would get these strong deja vu auras that wouldn't always lead to a seizure. And when I got them really bad, I would forget my name. It was very, very scary at the time. One time my wife saw me have when we were in graduate school and I went white, the color of the shirt, they said. I was around other people and I forgot who I was, what type of cancer my father had. Now, I had viral encephalitis and meningitis when I was younger, so I have residual brain damage from that. A lot of people talk about brain damage who've never really had brain damage. No, I'm not discrediting people who have. I actually had real brain damage. I had extreme viral encephalitis and meningitis, and I almost died, and I had like a 90% chance of not having the life I have. I mean, my father told the story right before he died. I mean, I was in the hospital for months, and it was really bad, and I made some miraculous turnaround, and they were like, even if he does turn around, he'll be severely hindered, potentially even a vegetable for the rest of his life. Before I went on the trip where I really contracted it, my mom tells a story where she looked at my father and said, why are Nicholas's eyes like completely yellow? He's so jaundiced. My dad's like, maybe he got something. But that was the beginning of viral encephalitis and meningitis, which it doesn't matter if that was the cause of my OCD or not, because my father had OCD and other cousins of mine have OCD, and I see it. And my great-grandmother, my dad's mother had it. So anyway, back to the topic. It's an important topic. And again, phil@ocdrecovery.com. So the most important thing about this book is about bringing the physical symptoms everywhere and changing the way you view them. Now, the only thing missing in this book, which I know Paul David, I would imagine he understands this, but it wasn't talked about too much in this book, is the fear of it coming back and ruining your life, which is what we have to address, which is the fear of fear. Remember, the fear of fear is 3 components. The fear of being stuck forever, aka ruining your life. The fear of going backwards once you're doing good, and the fear of developing something new. All those come together, they equal the fear of fear process. I call it the 3 prongs. And each of those will need a particular insight, but especially the number one, which is the fear of being stuck forever. That hinders so many people. So throughout this book, the best chapter in this book, in my opinion, is called the backpack chapter, where he talks about this metaphorical experience of a backpack being dropped off at his house. And then, the anxiety guy, the names on all the forums, being on Reddit and Instagram and TikTok, constantly talking about when anyone names themselves, unless they're doing it from like a business perspective, but like Pots Girl 101, having pots, or the IBS Queen, you know that person's in really deep shit because they're identifying with their symptoms. I don't identify with anything. I'm just a person alive named Nick who has these problems. It doesn't mean anything about me as a human. It's just like I have a right arm and I have a tattoo on my arm that says Jersey, how you doing? It's the same thing as that. I'm just a person that has obsessive compulsive disorder. I had very bad anxiety, physical symptoms, and not everyone gets physical symptoms. It depends. I've met people that, well, they don't, not in the typical sense of how Paul David talks about it, in the anxiety and panic sense. Don't worry, I'll show you when the video's over, you little cutie. We'll show her right now real quick. Look at her. Oh, she loves to be scratching this little, she's such a cutie. Makes me realize I'll have pit bulls for the rest of my life. I'm going to get a big blue nose pit after this, like a big one. Like a 80-pounder. It's going to be amazing. Well, for you guys, like a 35-kilo. Anyway, so, but everything he talks about when it comes to bringing it for the ride is absolutely critical. When you are going to work, when you are building a career or working in a business, when you're flying, it needs to come everywhere. You have to be prepared to have the worst physical symptom attack anywhere, any place, anytime for the remainder of your life. I had to personally accept, because remember, I also had severe body dysmorphia, and one of our biggest fears in body dysmorphia is physical symptoms and overexertion destroying muscle growth. I mean, I was so obsessed. Like, if I lost any amount of bicep size, I'd freak out, literally lose my mind. Think about it, ruminate about it 24/7. Oh my God, am I flat? Oh my God, my muscle belly's not getting bigger. Oh my God, am I bloated from the amount of anxiety? Now, whatever happens in my life is just part of the process of what I have to go through. And even if it's there for the rest of my life, I still have to find a way to be enthusiastic about that and enjoy the process of just being alive and having OCD and anxiety. Because if I don't do that, I know the other option. I talk about flipping the coin around. It's a double-edged sword. You need to look at it in a reverse psychology perspective of what are the outcomes if I don't try to do this. So if I don't try to be enthusiastic, and sure, you'll feel like a fraud. Sure, your symptoms are going to be messed up. I mean, take the IBS one for an example. I was so, for anywhere I went was a blueprint in my mind. I don't want to go there. What if I get diarrhea there? I don't want to go there because I'm in a public place. I can't go outside and pass gas. Oh my God, like, I can't be in this business meeting if that happens if I have to fart a lot. Like, these are serious fears that people have. In the IBS world, then they go down the rabbit hole. And the problem is OCD is the master mimicker. So you can go, not saying there's anything wrong with this, but you go gluten-free and dairy-free and become a vegan, not saying there's not health benefits to that. But when you have OCD, it will mimic really good symptom relief. And then you're convinced that you have to be vegan and never have gluten again. And the problem is, it tends to come back and then you go even more restrictive. I mean, I was eating like 5 foods. I ate 5 foods for years. I had tilapia grilled with no oil, not oil at all, white rice, the bagged white rice, grilled chicken, and like oatmeal, honey, and peanut butter powder. That's it. I ate like that for 10 fucking years. It was nuts. And the sacrifice for the bodybuilding games. That wasn't a sacrifice. Bodybuilding is not sacrificial. It's compulsive for most people. I'll say that again. Bodybuilding is not sacrificial. It's compulsive for most people. This is coming from someone who lifts a lot of weights, and I love bodybuilding. And I love bodybuilding, the art of bodybuilding, until the day I die. But I'm also a lot better. I don't track any calories anymore. I eat what I want. I don't limit myself to food intake of what I want to have some days. The other day, we went to this place called Insomnia Cookies by our house. I did feel like shit afterwards. But I had this massive, like, fluff ice cream. The cookies were like this big. It was like a monster cookie and a snickerdoodle cookie and all this this chocolate cream. It had to have been like 1,500 calories. And I was like, oh my God, afterwards. But it's not a regular thing, right? But I still enjoy the things I want to. When I go somewhere, I don't have a single thought. Like, I'm going home to Jersey in 4 weeks, 5 weeks. For 6 days, I don't think one time about how am I going to get these things in. Those things, I don't take any supplements. Again, this is a Nick Panella thing. Well, they do this, they do that. I don't take any supplements, nothing. No creatine, no vitamins. If I don't get it from my food the way it was for the majority of human history, it ain't going in my body. Not because I'm anti-supplement, it's because I know myself. Until you understand, and you're never going to be able to know your true self. That's not what I'm saying. But taking a pros, cons list. Pros about me stopping those things. Chance of them becoming compulsive is a lot lower. I mean, I was bringing measured out 5-gram scoops of creatine monohydrate to music festivals where I was doing tons of drugs and drinking and smoking cigarettes. I mean, think about the logic in that. There is no logic. It's moronic. But that's how obsessive I was. I have to get the 5 grams of creatine in. Oh my God. And in my mind, I'd be like, yeah, but you're about to do a bunch of Molly and Coke and like drink your brains out. I mean, I was a maniac back in the day. I mean, no care for my health whatsoever. More than likely why I probably didn't have any extreme health anxiety or any fears of death, because I just had a very childish response to that. I mean, I would just go out, not eat, not have any water and just consume Red Bull vodkas until I blacked out and do tons of hard drugs. I mean, just the reality of my life. I did this for years. You know, it wasn't like an every single weekend thing, but it was, I mean, I was in college. I mean, cocaine was going up my nose a lot. I mean, a lot. And it's important to tell people that so they could see where I came from to where I am now, which is no drugs for years. I rarely drink at all. I have a couple cigars a month here and there. I'm a lot more balanced. But I had to bring all that with me for the ride. I mean, let's think about some other thing. Work, for an example, okay? So when I built my business, I was petrified that I wasn't going to be able to concentrate, be able to remember anything. Remember, because the brain fog and all the deja vu symptoms I had. Anyone who's had extreme seizures, whether they have grand mal seizures or petit mal seizures, we don't have to know the name of it. They know what the deja vu symptom feels like. I mean, it was so intense. And that is a lead-up symptom to high activity neuronal activity, which then, again, could just snap into a seizure, and I blacked out. I mean, I had a seizure. In 2 days from now, I had a seizure 3 months ago sitting at this chair, at this desk. It was my first one in six years. I just had a lot going on in my life. I mean, I work a lot and everything, and I just have to be realistic about this. And, you know, the doctor's like, you don't need to be on Keppra, which is a seizure medication. We've done all the tests. We've done, you know, EMGs. We've done functional MRIs and brain scans. You don't have any epilepsy. It's just, you're just a person with neuronal damage because you're viral encephalitis, more than likely. And I have to accept that reality of my life. I have to accept that reality of my life, that I could have a seizure in the gym, smash my head, and die right there. That doesn't scare me. Why? Because when I'm dead, and I won't even know I'm dead, you know? So, because I don't believe in afterlife personally. Could be wrong, but it doesn't scare me. So, I had to bring all that to work to 24/7. I mean, me and my wife were talking about this last night. We're watching a food documentary right now about twins. It's a really cool study. You take twins. One of them's getting an omnivore diet. The other one's getting like a paleo vegan diet, and they're seeing the genetic differences over an 8-week period. And she's like, your stomach was so messed up for so long. It was all you spoke about. Every day, my stomach this, my stomach that. So when you're constantly speaking about it as well, you're bringing those symptoms to life. This is this isn't a wishy-washy statement. When you talk about something over and over and over again, those physical symptoms, whether they're pathological, biological, or not, because the physiological feeling, the way your body presents with it, feels absolutely real. You don't have to know whether it's real or not, but the more you talk about it, the more attention you give it. Now, I talk about OCD all day, every day anyway. It doesn't bring any attention to my OCD. But when it's coming from that complaining aspect, it's a really big problem. So, again, there's so many good metaphors in this book. There's so many good points where people, you know, and again, this book, I have to say it again, this book is usually not enough for OCD recovery. It's just not. It doesn't mean the principles of wearing symptoms isn't incredible from this book and Claire Weeks, but there's a reason why the myth of self-esteem, for unconditional self-acceptance specifically, and how to stubbornly refuse to make yourself miserable that anything, yes, anything, are the gold standards in our opinion. I use the word gold standard when it comes to belief system breaking down, not in the disorder in of itself. I just think that those books are the best for showing belief work. And you're going to have to bring those symptoms everywhere. Every single place you go. That's all pain symptoms, whether you have CRPS, you believe, or anything. It doesn't matter whether it's real or not. Chronic fatigue, the tired sensations, they all have to go. Just because the book is called Anxiety and Panic Free doesn't, this could say it lasts a life. Depression free, guilt free, shame free, etc. And there's a big difference. I'll end it with this. There's a term we use in the medical world called pain-free versus free of pain. Pain-free is virtually impossible. I always have aches and pains of all the mountains I hike and all the exercise I do. But there is something called free of pain, which means your belief systems on your pain are changing. So something to really think about. I hope you enjoy this video. Let me know if you want to see more videos on physical symptoms. And again, this has had nothing to do with beliefs. I just want to talk about the action of bring for the ride. And you doing that, you bringing it everywhere does change your beliefs. It's just usually not enough to get underneath that final piece of fear. So thank you for watching again. Phil at OCDrecovery.com. Hope to hear from you soon. And as always, enjoy the rest of your day. Oh, let me show Daisy. Duh. Look at her. Look at her over here. What are you doing? You go say hi to the camera. Look at this. I know people are weird about that. They're like, oh my God, your dog kisses you. That's so weird. And she does this. And then she goes, you know what she did last night? I was sleeping and she just comes up, jumps on me at like 1:30 in the morning. It was like 1:40 because I looked at the clock and I'm like, what are you doing? She jumps on me and just like plops across my whole body. And she's like this. Hi. How can you even be mad at that? How can we even... Look at the camera. What's the camera doing? Where's the camera? Oh, look at this. Are you grumpy? You're grumpy. Where's your brother? We'll show Milo in the next video. So it's important to have fun, guys. It's really important. This journey is already hard, so make sure you're laughing a good amount if you can. Have a good one, everyone.